بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. I seek refuge with Allah from Satan, the rejected enemy. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. With Allah's name, merciful benefactor, merciful redeemer. The praise and thanks are for always for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the God. We thank him for the gift and blessing of the model human person, Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the honorable and noble servant of Allah and messenger from God, and what follows of that traditional salute or salutation. We are to salute his reality. Thank Allah for blessing us with him as a gift, not to just the Muslims, for after all, when he came, there were no Muslims, as we know. There were no Muslims, conscious Muslims. And those Muslims that came to follow Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, remember, they were non-Muslims, and they became Muslims, believers. So when we look there at that history that surrounded the advent of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a good observer would see that there is a beautiful parallel that exists with the Prophet and what was happening with him. We can say biologically, psychologically, and spiritually as well. And the circumstances that surrounded the hood, the circumstances that surrounded the hood. You know what I'm talking about when I say hood. The neighborhood, the environment, the tract of land. And Allah says to him, to our Prophet, prayers and peace be upon him, لا أقسم بهذا البلد وأنت هل بهذا البلد. And Allah says, certainly you are a free person in this town. In other words, Allah knew that the minds and the spiritualities and some biologies were enslaved to certain lifestyles. They were slaves. And as we see the parallel circumstances today, even though we are 100 years plus from slavery to the white man and his establishment, we're not so foolish to think that the only kind of slavery that exists is biological slavery. There is a psychological slavery that exists in this world, and there is a spiritual slavery that exists in this world. We here in what we used to call the hells of North America, and I believe we still can call it the hells of North America. The hells of South America, hells of Australia, the hells of Germany, the hells of Canada. So wherever there is hellacious group or pool of humanity, then you have a hellacious situation. The people are full of hell. It's not the earth that's full of hell, or the trees that's full of hell. The animals are not full of hell. It's the human beings that are full of hell. And Allah, in his infinite mercy, he preserved the soul of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the circumstances that were around him was hellacious. Women being treated as stock animals, men, babies being born, and as soon as they're born, if they weren't male, female girls were buried alive. You know this history, right? Female girls were buried alive. These concepts, they were real in biology before. Physically, biological children were buried alive. And physical human beings, as we have witnessed, they were called, in some cases, indentured servants. They tried to water down the concept, you know, at some point in history. But they were still slaves of people who had the uppermost hand in the establishment. So, without me really riding this vibe, if I can use this term right now, without me really riding this into its full fruition, I have to step back and mention something about this Quran, that what was given to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was and is an existence from heaven. An existence from heaven. And that existence from heaven represented the words that the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam received in his chest, Al-Haqq, in his heart, upon his heart. And then when he began to align himself with, because his nature was already in good shape, he was already a good man. But when revelation came to that nature and kissed that nature, that made a communication, an engagement with that nature, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he took off. He took off in his spiritual evolution. He took off, alhamdulillah, in his intellectual wherewithal. And as you know, those of you who read the history about the Prophet, he was buffed. The Prophet was buffed. I don't think you would want to get into a dojo with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because he was born, as they say, for the mission. He was equipped to handle any circumstances by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. By any circumstance that he was confronted with, he utilized the wisdom and knowledge and understanding that God had given him from birth, yes, but when he received the Quran, he evolved over and over and over again. And I want to read something verbatim because I see where this possibly may go, and I don't want to go in that direction right now, even though it's a very nice road, alhamdulillah, that Allah is showing me up there. So if we say this, and we are familiar with recitation of Quran, you've heard beautiful recitation of Quran. We say in Surah Al-Baqarah and other surahs that begin with the mystical letters, we say Alif Lam Mim. Person may listen to that and say, how is that helping me? The person asks the question because they're so used to hearing other things. They're not used to hearing keys that unlock the human soul. They're not used to hearing that. They're not used to words that penetrate the psyche and the spirituality, penetrate the very heart and soul of man and woman. They're not used to hearing that. And what we have to do is we have to get used to it. We have to get used to hearing it and get used to understanding what comes after those very beautiful mystical letters, but they're not a mystery to God. That's the reason why he gave them to us, you see. He gave them to us. He wanted us to listen to them. Why? Because they have a healing effect. And as the old man used to say, believe it or let it alone. Talking about the other one. He used to say, believe it or let it alone. Leave it alone if you don't believe it. Go away. Don't worry about it. Your soul is calling for it, if not your mind. Your soul is disturbed because it does not have the correct orientation from God. And when when the correct orientation comes from God, sometimes people are not able to identify it because they don't know what to look for. They don't know what to look for to put into their minds and into their hearts, to expose their children to these things. So Allah says, Alif Lam Mim. This has a healing effect on the body, believe it or not. And it has a healing effect on the mind, the ins, the aql, the intelligence. Why? Because it came from the one that created you in the first place. So Allah knew what to give to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that would heal human beings, not in a way where it is something that is superficial. It is the word of Allah is something that is to be understood. And it is described as, and we will get to that inshallah. We have time. We may not have time today, but it is described as shifa, shifa wa rahma, a healing and a mercy. The words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But who wants this much religion? Who wants to really say, okay, I know I'm a good person by nature. I know by nature I'm a good person. Is there any literature in the world that fits my nature? The answer should be yes. The literature is revelation. And the name of that revelation is Quran. And when the Quran is listened to, especially when it's understood, it is a shifa, it is a healing, even if a person can't translate it. But it is a better healing when a person can understand it, can comprehend it, can digest it. These healing effects are due to the framing of the sounds as Allah gave them to Rasulullah by virtue or by through the avenue of Jibreel in other ways, Jibreel alayhi salam. It is the sound effects, just like you have sound effects of entertainment. That nice song that was just dropped by your best rap artist that you can't get out of your head. You can say it by heart, And because we are all in these precarious situations, some of that stuff may be fitting our psyche or fitting our yearning of our soul. Man, I need something to make me feel good, man. Let me hear that new record, that new drop by Beyonce or Jay-Z or whoever. Shanana. They got all kind of names. Rabia Boo and all these different kinds of people. Hey, they looking for guidance too. They want guidance. So they think of something, fit their circumstance, man, and put it out there. So shoot, man, that's entertainment. It enters you to contain you. That's what it's there for, to entertain. So you'll be mesmerized by that beat, and be surprised. You'll be surprised. People, so-called upper echelon people, upper echelon six-figure persons, are people in what is pictured as higher government and higher business establishments. These people be listening to stuff, believe it or not, because they don't have anything else that fits their psyche and their spirituality in order to relate to their specific circumstances. Doctors, lawyers, attorneys, all these people. Yeah, if they don't get that, they'll go to something like this elaborate orchestra music, Rembrandt or somebody, to listen to them in order to soothe a certain level of their psyche and their spirituality. I'm just expanding on this stuff, Excuse me for doing this, but I'm telling you what's going on in the world, that whatever you give yourself to, more than you give yourself to God, the one that created you, then whatever you're giving yourself to, that becomes your God. And people will say, no, that's not right, Imam. You wrong on that one. La hada sahih. This is sound, what I'm giving you. So it is very important for us to find out how to give this stuff, my creation, my psyche, my intelligence, find out how to give it back to the one that gave it to you, you see. If you give it back to the one that gave it to you, then he's going to register, meaning Allah is going to register that my servant has given himself back to me. Let me open up more doors for my servant. And Allah tells us, لا أقسم بهذا البلد وأنت حل بهذا البلد. متى أنت قريب لله, when you are close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then Allah knows it. Would you not think so? Would you not think that Allah is aware when you're close to Him? Allah registers it before you register it. So Allah wants us to be close to Him. And when we're close to Him, He works on us. He opens up doorways for us in our spiritual evolution, our intellectual perceptions, and believe it or not, don't you know He knows that you want money? Don't you know He knows that you want to take care of your family? Of course Allah knows. Allah is not going to say, be a spirit man. Like some of these people think that Imam is. Imam is not spirit man only. Imam is supposed to be a person that's balanced. A person that understands to a certain degree that there has to be spirituality. But that spirituality has to be locked into, engaged with intellectual perceptions. And those intellectual perceptions and understandings about business, culture, life, education, government/politics. He has to have all of that. And I'm saying the Muslim men who are leaders and the Muslim women who are leaders and education and educators, they must be balanced human beings, or they're not going to be able to carry the leadership for our communities. So Allah says, وَأَنْتَ حِلٌّ بِهَذَا الْبَلَدِ. You are a free man in this town. So in Prophet Muhammad receiving that from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there are people who follow him. Don't you know that Allah wants you to think this way? Allah wants you to think like Prophet Muhammad thought, based upon his instructions from God. God was telling him, وَأَنْتَ حِلٌّ بِهَذَا الْبَلَدِ, and you are a free man in this town. Quit acting like a slave. Quit looking for someone to be a slave to. You hear this? Don't look for someone to be a slave to. Be the master of your own soul. And be the person who gives his soul back to the master, who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anta hilum bihadal balad. That's a singular, detached pronoun. Anta, you. And Allah was talking to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, telling Muhammad, you Muhammad, you free. You free, Muhammad. And then he goes on to say, وَأَنْتَ هِلٌ بِهَذَا الْبَلَدِ وَوَالِدٍ وَمَا وَلَدٍ. By the mystic tie. The mystic tie. Check this out. I mean, we mentioned this last night in the hookup in the presentation. But وَوَالِدٍ وَمَا وَلَدٍ. Allah knows the tie between your baby girl and you. Allah knows that tie. Nobody can put a finger on that tie. And Allah knows the mystic tie between you and your baby boy, or your children, your twins, or triplets, quadruplets. There's a tie, a mystic tie between mother and child, father and child. And we can take it and say, if the husband and wife is getting along okay, there's a tie, as a mystic tie of hubb, love. That's the reason why it's very important for brothers to get married, sisters to be married, because you are gambling with that tie. You're gambling with it. It's like throwing dice. I want to be connected to this. I want to be connected to that. Well, what about her? Or what about him? See if he... Listen, find some situation, man. Find a situation, brother. Quit playing with your mystic tie. You're gambling. Tawakkal ala Allah. Rely upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and go with it. Go with it. Because your trust should not be in your own intellect first. It should be in the guidance of Allah first. And the intellect has to be given to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This religion, man, I'm telling you, this is so precious, it's so valuable, it's so healthy for us. And speaking of health, I wanna mention something here, and I'm gonna read through all of this. But you listening, Shalom? Okay. You listening, brother? Okay. If all 600 of our muscles in our body were to pull together in one direction, say all of those muscles that you have in your body, and you were to have an objective to move something that's heavy. I'm talking about physical, biological muscles. You would be able to lift as much as 25 tons. You hear this? Actually, in times proceed when a man or woman needs it, these weights can be, measures can be far beyond what is usually considered possible. So, brothers and sisters, this was Hollywood when you heard of the $6 million man. If there was a $6 million man, it would be you and me. Because $6 million is not enough to put a value on you or me, male or female. You're worth much more. The dollar is a creation of the world. The person is a creation of Allah. You're much more valuable. Every day our blood travels 168 million miles. Your blood going through your bloodstream. You can do the research on it if you don't believe me. Do the research. See what the white man said. Yeah. Well, he has gotten accurate records. And that's 6,720 times around the earth. So your bloodstream, if it was to just keep going and going, and you would count the number of times that your blood traveled, the miles that your blood traveled in your bloodstream, that would be 6,720 times around the globe in one day, 24-hour period. You're talking about a $6 million man, you're worth more than that. So what I'm saying, you are an abd of God. You're an abd of God, of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the world has demoted or has changed the perception that man and woman has for himself or herself. Have demoted the idea of the human being. So therefore, people in different parts of the world this person kill another human being like he's a goat or a lamb in the street. Not even that you're supposed to slaughter the goat in a bad way. You're supposed to do that even. Kill the lamb or the goat. And before you kill them, you say, Bismillah. You ask God's permission to kill that animal. So what has happened to cause this demotion of man's perception of himself? It is the orientation that man wakes up to every day that demotes his perception of his own self. But we want to see man as God has described man. And Allah has described you and me, human beings, male and female, as abd. Oh, what? Abd. One who surrenders his will to do the will of the master creator. That's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You got to get plugged in, brother, sister. You got to get plugged in right. You got to plug back into your creator correctly. You know what happens to your phone when your phone is disconnected for over 3 hours? I know you can identify with this one. But wait, I need to go plug my phone up. You know, it's like one of these crackheads out here. I gotta go. You know. And this is humor, but it's real, right? I want to be plugged in because I want to be in touch with what I'm supposed to be in touch with to make my day continue to go. So how much more important is it then for me and you to be plugged into God, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in a realistic way, in the form of an abd, a servant of God, to be plugged into God, to be attached to God, to be in touch with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to know that, alhamdulillah, I am in touch with my Lord without a question. I don't want to feel like, Allah, are you there? Allah, Allah, you might be around here. No, you want to know that you are in touch with Allah and that you feel that you are under the protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Now, I mentioned that, and there's some more evidence here about the magnificence, but we're not even talking about the human intellect yet. We haven't started talking about the intelligence. We're talking about just muscles and blood cells and biology and all of that stuff. So check this out. I'll be through in a minute. Every 5 days, the whole intestinal lining, your intestines, the lining of your intestines, if you're not eating junk, the lining of your intestines replace themselves with new lining. Yeah. The resilience of the human body that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created, He created a magnificent person. Every 11 days, our respiratory lining is replenished. If we are taking care of our health and watching what we put into ourselves. Every 15 days, all of our white corpuscles in our blood is replaced. It takes 120 days to replace the red corpuscles. We need to look all of this stuff up. So you're a magnificent creature. Every 6 months we have a completely new blood pool, because the blood has the ability to recreate its own cells, to make its cellular structure regenerate. You hear this? But the cellular structure in a person will not regenerate if it is inundated with trash food. Trash food. You see? Always eating something that is just really not good for your system. The bloodstream or the blood cells, they're there just like you're here in Jumah. In Jumah, your blood cells, your cells too are in Jumah, in you. They're in Jumah. How you think you're looking at me? How you think you're looking at me if your blood cells weren't in Jumah? All of your cells in your eyes are operating perfectly. But if you mistreat what God has given you, then it is not going to give you what it is designed to give you. And I'm going to skip all of this, but I'm going to start reading now verbatim. The scientific world or the scientific community tells us that disease stems from crud in the blood. Now I want you to, okay. We have this coronavirus. It's still around. But the people who are more susceptible to it are those people who have more crud in their blood than others. They have pre-existing ailments, pre-existing situations. So therefore, the immune system is in poor shape, is in poor condition, the immune system. So those who have an immune system that is in poor condition, then they are susceptible, easily attacked by these different viruses, not only COVID-19, but other things, other diseases, etc. So the scientific world You have to believe me. Read the reports. Say that disease stems from crude substances, crud in the blood. How did it get there? How did it get there? How did the crud get in the blood? Give me an answer. No, that's okay. How did the crud get in the blood? We either ate it, we drank it, or we exposed our immune system to it. So in other words, we get drunk with junk. We don't catch disease. We take it in. We earn it. This ends the first part of our khutbah, inshallah. We will finish the second part in enough time for you to do what you want to do after the Jumah, inshallah. والصلاة والسلام على خير المرسلين محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. All over the world right now, people are waking up. Would you say so? I would say so. At least they're waking up a little bit more. We sound the clarion call to wake up many, many years ago. When Imam Muhammad, he made the call to remove all images that attempt to portray divine. Did you hear what I said? If that was done then, accurately, then all of these other things would have been already finished. It was called CRADE, Committee to Remove All Images that Attempt to Portray Divine. That's when we had negotiations even with ministers, clergy in Texas and in different parts of the world, and of the country especially, New York City, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Detroit, Chicago, different areas, Oklahoma City, different areas. Why you keep praying to this image, and it's the same image that had you in slavery for 400 years? And people know what the image of Christ was, even though we won't want to exchange that image for his image, because we should have no graven images of God. That's what it said in Injil. Exodus 20 verses 4 and 5 says that. Let them have no graven images of God. You remember this, Saluki? So, I'm not surprised that people are waking up. I'm a little disheartened they had to wait so long. And what has happened is this last situation with our brother, Floyd, that hit the last nerve. That hit the last nerve. That was a global nerve. And now these movements, God protect them. These movements, I'm going to underscore, may God protect them. Keep their sustainability. To sustain the aura to protest. But protest in a very intelligent way. Protest like our prophet, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was a protester. You weren't here for that khutbah. You missed that one. Prophet Muhammad was a protester even before he became the messenger of God. You see? Now I wanted to say that because I'm with you as long as you for right. But don't mix truth and falsehood together, because it's a confusion thing. It's a confusion issue. Entire societies have movements now. They're in the process of deep transformation, sustained transformation. Now, let me ask you here that are listening and looking at this video, this khutbah, and those who are here in this Jumah, ask yourself, what have you done to move the needle forward on human justice, black or white, lately? That's what Janet Jackson asked. Oh, my man. What have you done for me lately? So justice is calling you. He's saying, justice is saying, what have you done to sustain me in the world? What have you done to move the needle forward for justice? Whether it be for black or white. But you know the black ones need more attention than the rest of them, because it looks like to me that the world has formed an allegiance. Many people in the world and many organizations, many types of people have formed an allegiance to go against the darker races of this planet. It's not no new thing. It's just a new awakening now. You got white people that's fed up with it now. Uh-oh. Something finna happen now. Something is gonna get done now. Allahu Akbar. And not to say that when these white people start getting a copy of this Quran and start reading it in Lughatu Arabiya and saying it with their own vernacular, oh my God, it's gonna be a tsunami in Islam. Tsunami in Islam. And it is our responsibility. Look, you can't be racially biased in Islam. We're not to be racially biased. Am I right or wrong? Matter of fact, if we do it right, which some of us have not done it, you can't hold a grudge against your brother for more than 3 days, brother. That's the limit. This is the sunnah of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the Prophet himself, he struggled with that. He struggled with that because one of his relatives, I think it was Hamza, one of his relatives was killed by one of the adversaries, and that adversary became Muslim. Yeah. The Prophet himself wrestled with it. So how did he handle it? Our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he kept distance. He kept distance. He saw him, and he wrestled with that thing. Vengeance or revenge. It wasn't hatred. It was revenge. You don't know how you would act if someone were to, I don't know how I would respond. Somebody right there close to me, my blood, I have to wrestle with it. As many things I want to talk to you all about, because there's so many things have been swept up under the rug in this society, and societies far away from here, but in this society, and I'm aware that we're dealing in a pluralistic world, a pluralistic society. We have different denominations as Muslims. I'm aware of this. Think I'm a fool? I'm not a fool. I register all of this. That there are many people from different countries that have been ridiculed and blasphemed, talked about, stomped on, disrespected. I'm aware of that. I have to pay attention to my tribe too. I have a tribe, and it would be foolish for me not to pay attention to my tribe. Sure about. That's the word for tribe. Sure about. Sure about. The tribe. Allah said He created you in tribes and family. I have concern for your tribe. Just because I'm speaking about my tribe now, that doesn't mean that I'm not concerned about what has happened to you and your people. Don't look at us like that. So God says, وَأَنْتَ هِلُونَ بِهَذَا الْبَلَدِ. Allah is talking to all of you who follow Muhammad, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You are a free man in this town. That goes for you too, sister. You are a free person in it. So if a person is free and has never been free, like what happened to many of us, and many of us who walked to the edge of the plantation. I'm sorry if I bore you. I'm sorry if I bore you. But I want to give you the reality. I don't want to give you some kind of souped up, watered down understanding of Islam proper. When many of our people were freed physically from physical bondage, except for the ones in Texas, they had to wait 2 more years. Sad story, man. You haven't heard this whole story. So when our people, many of them were freed, they walked to the edge of the plantation, and they asked them, some of them just zoomed. They like the Zoom video, zoom. They got out of there, buddy. But others were so prone to serve Master so much, they walked to the edge of the plantation and they said, "What are I going to do now, Master?" So that's when they created the indentured servant in the United States of America. The servant could still work for the white man, not having the picture of slave, but having the picture of a person who's taking care of property, a property owner. And there was a lot in that story too, because they weren't treated fair either. There's a lot to be said about that. At the end of the day and at the beginning of the day, we are all servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's how I want you to see me as a brother. I want you to see me as you see yourself. You are a free man in this town, but you were created a servant of God. So see me as a servant of God, nothing less, nothing more. And I see you as a servant of God, nothing less, nothing more, at the beginning and at the end of the day. Oh, Allah says, oh, what a beautiful fellowship. God says this in the Quran. Ikhwatun. Oh, what a beautiful brotherhood this could be. But all these nooks and crannies in the Muslim world, in the Muslim societies, in Muslim Masjid, all over the United States and Canada and Australia and different parts of the world, it's this hierarchy that exists among the Muslims. We were taught in Christianity, charity begins at home and spreads abroad. So don't talk to me about how you look at the world abroad and you're not taking care of charity in your own house of Islam. See, I knew it was going to happen. I just didn't know when it was going to happen. And I didn't know it was going to happen this rapid either. That's God's hand. That's Allah's hand in the world, in the society. It has nothing to do with man's will, so to speak. This is God's will being done. And I'm telling you, if you like brotherhood, if you really want brotherhood, find a brother or sister that's on the same page with you. The rest of them probably they're in another book. They're in another book. That's not the Quran, not the Sunnah, not the Torah, not the Injil. They're not even in those books. They're somewhere else in another book. Find people that are thinking on God like you. And God knows you love him. So he's going to open up the doors for you to find that group, that Jumah. Everybody's not going to be on the same page every day. Everybody has different fingerprints. It's a different fingerprint. It's okay. But we have one book, one prophet, and one God. Say, Mister, you haven't recited the Quran yet. Now, I've been talking the Quran ever since I've been up here. I've been speaking the Quran. The Quran is to give a message. It's not for you to sail off into some oblivion in your spirituality. The Quran is a message from God. So God says, يا أيها الناس قد جاءتكم موعظة من ربكم والشفاء لما في الصدور وهدى ورحمة للمؤمنين. Let me read this again. Ya ayyuhan nasu, O perceptive people. قد جاءتكم موعظة من ربكم. There has come to you a direction from your Lord. وَشِفَاءٌ لِمَا فِي الصُّدُورِ, and a healing for the disease that's in your chests. This is talking to humanity, not just talking to Muslims. God knows that there would be a disease in the chests of human beings if they veered away from God. And Allah says, وَهُدًى وَرَحْمَةً. What else is this revelation? It is a guidance and a mercy. لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ, for those who believe. See? It's not a guidance for people who don't believe. They're not looking for God. You see, you have to look for God in order to grasp that reality in yourself, because other people can't bring it to you in a bag and hand it to you. They can't bring guidance in a bag and hand it to you, sell it to you for $50. Guidance has to be coming from God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that guidance can only be found when we go deep into the recesses of our own heart. Go there. Don't be afraid to go there. That's what's wrong with the world. They're scared of dark places. There's a dark place in our souls, so we have to go there. And then by relying upon Allah, Allah will illuminate that environment for you and me. Ask Allah to forgive us for going beyond the time. Oh Allah, give us shifa, healing, wa rahmah, mercy. Let us be able to understand the mystic ties that lie between mother and child, father and child, father and wife, wife and husband, relatives. Keep us protected, O Allah, from this demonic virus and from demonic spirits, demonic minds that exist in the world. O Allah, ihdina sirat al-mustaqim, guide us on the straight path. Lay not on us a burden that we can't handle. Equip us, Ya Allah. Equip the leaders, equip the teachers and the educators, the mothers and the fathers, grandmothers, grandfathers, with the skills to navigate this life. Ameen. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. آمين. إقامة الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
Stop. Please make sure you initiate social distancing as much as possible. It's very important. He needs a mask. Give him a mask. Anyone that's maskless. Here's another young man. Give him a mask. Over here. Any more masks? نويت الصلاة الجمعة. Jumah prayer. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنا أنزلناه في ليلة القدر وما أدراك ما ليلة القدر ليلة القدر خير من 1000 شهر تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر سلام هي حتى مطلع الفجر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لإلاف قريش إلافهم رحلة الشتاء والصيف فليعبد رب هذا البيت الذي أطعمه من جوع وآمنه من خوف. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. Accept our salat. Brothers, before you leave, please think about the security of yourself and your family. So many people think that this whole thing is a hoax. If it is, people are dying from a hoax. Take care of your family. Do extra things that keep you at a distance from people. Eat the best of foods. Keep yourself and your family healthy. Build your immune system. If you have a healthy immune system, you have a better chance of surviving this scourge that's on our society. I'm not saying that you become, so immune that you can't catch it, but you take all precautions. May Allah continue to bless each and every one of you, your families. We have a mission to complete. We have a mission to complete, and this is the mission of Muhammad, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May Allah accept our prayers, our du'as. Qul huwa Allahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad, wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Ameen. So, all I can say is support. If you feel in your heart to support, then support. But don't support if you're not giving from your heart. Give it from your heart if you want to help the mission. Sound like